the #1 Costa Rica real estate and investment podcast, bringing you experts from all over Costa Rica.
Good afternoon, guys, and welcome to episode 221 of Costa Rica Real Estate and Investments with me, your host, Richard Beckson. Today, we're going to be talking with Ana Brenes Taylor, one of my favorite people. She also works with us, but she's a relocation and real estate specialist here in our office in Costa Rica Investments. I'd love to get her on, kind of get an update of what's happening in the relocation world. She spends a lot of time with clients looking to make Costa Rica Plan B, looking to relocate full-time here, getting residency, or just having a second home here. So today we're going to be kind of get an update of what's happening in the world of relocation, and also kind of FAQs people, ask when looking to make Costa Rica home, and just kind of, just getting a better idea of kind of what's going on out there. We're starting to see I'd say quite a bit of an increase just because of the political situations and volatility around the world. We had someone the other day ask about, whether they can invest their self-directed IRA here into Costa Rica, which they can do. And actually into some of our investment projects, we've had quite a few people actually invest their self-directed IRAs as well. So again, anyone looking to make an investment here in Costa Rica, we have quite a few investment opportunities, kind of syndication style things going on at the moment, all throughout the country in the main tourist areas as well. Kind of feel again that we're cheating, even though it's not cheating just because, we fill them up in 2 seconds with Costa Rica's largest luxury travel company. But if interested, guys, you want to hear more about our services and investment opportunities that we have, you can email us info@investingcostarica.com. That's info@investingcostarica.com. But let's get straight into the podcast. Good afternoon, Ana. How are you doing?
I'm doing wonderful, Richard. Thank you for having me.
No worries. It's always a pleasure to have you here on the podcast. I know we work together, but it's always good to get out there and share information on Costa Rica being a Plan B, relocating, and also investing here. So I know you're a wealth of knowledge. You spend a lot of time with clients, have helped a lot of people move, purchased properties here, and just making sure they do the right thing when it comes to Costa Rica. So thanks for taking your time.
Thank you for having me.
No worries.
It's great.
Well, my first question that I always love to ask, Ana, is just, with a lot of volatility in markets and I would say politics in the Western world, what impact is that having on, inquiries about relocating, moving to Costa Rica and investing in Costa Rica?
I think because of the situation, I think the situation has changed since the last time we spoke. I believe that the political instability and the uncertainty in the US right now, and also Canada, I have to say,
yep.
is getting a lot of people nervous and really considering moving. So they always think Costa Rica is a great option because they've heard, wonderful things about it. Political stability, most of all, and of course the weather. But yes, I would say, Richard, that our inquiries have grown quite a bit, based on wanting to sort of get to a safer, more stable reality, for sure.
And if you were to, not that you have a crystal ball here, how do you think that's going to change? Do you think it's going to increase as we get towards the end of the year and move into 2025, or do you think it's going to kind of taper off a little bit?
No, I actually feel like it's going to increase, especially since what's happened in the last week.
Yep.
I think that people are now not just scared about, maybe not loving the candidates, and I'm sorry, being very specifically talking about the US.
Yep.
I think that because there are so many wars now going on, like openly going on, where the US is somehow involved and could be more involved in the future. A couple of school shootings and mall shootings in the last month really, have, I think, made the situation even more unstable and more uncertain. And what I feel is that people are just really rushing to make a good plan, to have a plan B. A lot of the questions that I get are for people who have never even been to Costa Rica. So what's happening in the next couple of months is a lot of people are visiting now, like before the election. Like I have probably 5-6 clients coming in October just to see the country. They want us to show them, the different areas and just have a more clear idea of every, the reality of Costa Rica, but also like for them to start making plans to move next year.
Someone had a concern, which is that, again, there was a New York Times article the other day about like Costa Rica becoming a potential like narco state or something, I think was the word used. I mean, you're a Costa Rican, you live here, so do I. But I mean, what's your opinion on that?
I think that Costa Rica continues to fight, against the drug cartels and the drug trafficking happening within our borders. But I think it is a concern. I believe that it is very localized, though. And for most people, for most of us who live in this beautiful country, we don't really are part of it or in the middle of it in any way, unless we would be located. We would choose to move to locations where, we know that drug groups are operating.
Yeah.
I had a call from a client the other day, and he was so excited about this little cabin that he wanted to rent. And when I looked at the location, I said, sir, please don't. I know that the price sounds amazing and the surroundings are beautiful, but this is an area that, is known for a drug group being installed there. So please don't even think about it. So yes, it is very avoidable, but it is something that I know that the government, is constantly working on and dealing with because of our location. We're between South America and North America, and we used to be so nice and sort of naive. And now Costa Rica has like really toughened up and become actually like super alert to any drug trafficking and also like money laundering.
Yeah.
That's why sometimes, the banks, expats sometimes are like, wow, it's so hard to open a bank account. Like, well, we've had our bad experiences, and now, banks are super careful about making sure that everything is done properly and by the law.
Yeah, I mean, I agree on it being very localized. I mean, typically to port towns, Punta Arenas, Limon area, I mean, it has got into other areas, but really not. And again, I agree, as long as you're not looking for it. I mean, there's definitely been a bit of an increase in it, over the past couple of, I would say past year. But I mean, from what I understand is that, Costa Rica captured some of the heads of the, of these gangs. And what that did was left a vacuum of power. And then, that's that vacuum of power that's trying to be, kind of filled there. And unfortunately, thank God it hasn't spilled over into the majority of the areas where I would say expats and tourists are, et cetera. And it's kind of kept between themselves. But I definitely know the government is doing everything that they can and directing resources, to its police force. And
always.
Yeah, I mean, we even have, the US Coast Guard come through here every so often as well. They're AWACS. So, yeah.
The DEA works very closely with the Costa Rican government, always has, and continues to do more every day. I think that the coastal areas just like open up to, having the opportunity to do boats and helicopters. But if you go to the Golfo Dulce, the South Pacific, close to Golfito, you see the police, all the time. They're around. You can see them. You're in the water and like, look, there's a helicopter from the police. They're always really on top of it. So because they know that if they let go a little bit, they will take advantage of it.
Yeah. I mean, you mentioned that, Anna, that like, look, there's a lot of people looking to come here for the first time and potentially, I mean, they're looking for a plan B. I mean, what are the things that people should understand about living here?
Well, I mean, I think that Costa Rica is a great option for most people that want to live in a peaceful setting. We have great weather. We have the most amazing thing we have is amazing people. But also, I think that our infrastructure, especially in the coastal areas where most expats want to move to, has improved so much. And I mean, the international airport in Guanacaste has changed everything. But also just the schools, that are now available. Like you see that, now there's 5, 6 grade schools on the coast, in most of the coasts. And so, international schools, so very good, wonderful setting. You see Hospital Metropolitano, for example, which is, connected to MediSmart, which is one of the health insurance companies. It's all over now. You know, there's a Hospital Metropolitano in Jacó, in Guanacaste, close to Flamingo, and there's another one in Quepos. There's, you know, you see it all over now. I mean, you see the infrastructure sort of adapting to the needs, you know, and the demand for it as more and more expats have moved to Costa Rica. I spoke with a client yesterday, had the most, you know, wonderful conversation because, you know, everything I said, his smile just got so big, you know, it's like, I'm like, yeah, you know, if you live, he was thinking about Escazú or Heredia or Santa Ana, which is in the city. And then every time I said, you know, yeah, the beach is only like an hour and a half away, he was big smile. You know, but there's also like all the main hospitals are here and, you know, theater and movies and concerts and all kinds of cool stuff. Big smile. I think that also the fact that he has quite a very good monthly pension also allows him to feel comfortable. Because I said, you know, Costa Rica is not as, you know, the prices is not as low as other Central American countries. And there is a reason for it, right? Our import tax is much higher. We protect our local producers much more, and we're proud of it. You know, it is what it is. You know, we can't be perfect. We can't fit into this perfect image that it's going to be wonderful, beautiful, stable, and also cheap. Yeah. We're not cheap, but we're a great value. That's all I can say. So, yeah, I just think that you know, it's very easy to adapt to a very good quality of life in Costa Rica. The weather and the people and the infrastructure and the beauty, of course.
I mean, look, I mean, that sounds great, but, you know, I'm sure some people listening are like, okay, what's the downside? What is some other stuff that people need to understand about moving to Costa Rica?
Well, I mean, I think that the reality is that, you know, we also deal with bureaucracy, right? I mean, getting anything done takes a little bit longer than in their country of in the US or in Canada or even in Europe. You know, it's the reality of a country that is still developing. You know, we're still a developing country, not as, you know, like the AID, for example, the USAID program decided that Costa Rica was not a developing country anymore, ever since like 20 years ago. But I believe that there are areas that they still cover, you know, because there are areas that are still, you know, having its challenges, and it is a process. But I think that as a country, infrastructure, I think, you know, road infrastructure is complicated. You know, the city, the traffic is real here where I live. You know, and you just kind of learn how to organize and pick and choose the times when you know, get out of the house if you can. If you work, if you have to go to an office during rush hour, then, you know, it's a little bit, you just have to give yourself a little bit more time. But I also think that, you know, it's for Costa Ricans, Richard, it's not easy as well. You know, like we struggle with making ends meet because it's an expensive country. Yeah. But there are tips and tricks. I always share it with my clients, you know, farmers market, you know, just be very good about getting great butcher shop to get your protein, and just going to the supermarket for those little bits of things that are still missing from your list. But basically just splurge on going out to eat and imported products as much as your budget allows. But I believe that you know, transport, I think infrastructure for me is one of the big things, like the road infrastructure. I hear a lot of expats going, wow, it took me 5 hours to go from San Jose to Guanacaste. I'm like, yeah, that's what it takes. They're fixing the road, it's getting better. But what I do is I travel, you know, at 3 a.m. in the morning. Yeah. So I mean, we all fly. It takes 35-40 minutes. Yeah, you figure out a way to make it work for you, and you know, and it is what it is. But I think that Costa Rica is on always improving, and that's what's exciting about it.
I think it's slow but steady. I always say that to Costa Rica, like we don't have this volatility that, you know, a lot of worlds have, or like in Panama that they saw this massive growth. You know, Costa Rica is just slow and steady, which is what I like. I like that stuff. Maybe the infrastructure is not perfect here because then it takes so long to do stuff here. Only good ideas get done. I mean, I say that because you have to be passionate, like about doing things. Costa Rica. I say that as a developer myself, of like, if you're not passionate about what you do, you just give up at the red tape. Like it's not a place to make a quick buck. It's not a place that you can come in and just do whatever you want. Like there are restrictions in certain areas, and because of the infrastructure, it restricts certain projects as well, which is good because it keeps it that boutiqueness, that organicness, you know, that we all love Costa Rica for.
Absolutely. And also, I think that it's very important when you're developing or building, where you want to build or develop anything. You know, the environmental laws in Costa Rica exist.
Yeah.
And so I think that I think the country has been very good about protecting, you know, the water source and also just making sure that primary forests are not affected. You know, so I think it's a process that takes a little bit of time. Unfortunately, not as fast as we would like. But I think that as we grow and develop more, because the country really has taken off since COVID, just because there's just been so much demand, I think that everything that's been happening, it's actually positive. It's the country trying to, like, you know, get up to speed with what's really happening. And I also see that very much in the immigration department. Like they were really stuck because they had so many requests for residency that they keep making little changes. Like every couple of months, the immigration lawyer that I usually recommend that we work with, she keeps updating me because just little things that they change. But I think it's all with a very good intention of making things move and flow.
Yeah. Well, it's funny you say that though, but like they've just been actually rejecting quite a bunch of investor residency stuff recently, but we'll see that. But like on that topic of residency, I mean, do people need residency to move here?
Not at all. Not at all. Especially when it's your first visit, like when you don't know Costa Rica, right? So, and we've said this in other podcasts. I think it's always the best, if you've never been to Costa Rica, it's always the best idea is to rent first. And you don't need to go through the residency process when you're renting or when you're just really settling down and trying to understand what it's like to live here. You just get a tourist visa, you get a tourist stamp when you come in, and you. And so, you know, this gives them time to really understand, you know, and settle in a place or maybe move to another area, and also change, you know, sort of experience a different location and community. And all they need to do is before their stamp, you know, exceeds the time that was given to them, they just need to do a border run. A lot of expats in different communities get together and do it, you know, go have lunch on the other side, either Panama or Nicaragua, and then they come back in.
I mean, they get it.
So I know it sounds too easy, but it is.
They get it for 6 months, and I think that their driver's license now is for 6 months as well. It used to be for 3 months, but I think now 6. So they just go across the border and come back in, and they're fine.
Yeah, it used to have to be, remember, 72 hours.
Yeah,
it used to be 72 hours outside of Costa Rica. Not anymore.
I think if you want to like really live here and open bank accounts and have ease of like doing business, meaning if you have any interest of doing business or anything here, like it's always good to get residency. I mean, personally, you know, I'm a citizen of the UK and also a citizen of Costa Rica. Like it's kind of cool going with 2 passports personally. Like residency is great as well, because when you arrive, if you're a resident here, you don't need to go down the tourist aisle. You go straight down the other one and you're straight through. Like that's a benefit for it. But like opening bank accounts, getting electricity at home, paying bills, all that stuff becomes a lot easier. It's not impossible to do. It's like a tourist, but it's a lot easier to do when you're a resident here.
Absolutely. Yes. And that's why I was sort of saying, you know, it's for those people who are just starting in Costa Rica, who are not sure if they want to stay or even purchase to live here then, for sure, for a longer term. So, yeah, I think that there are different situations for each family. What I do with clients who are serious about moving down is I put them in contact with the immigration lawyer. I think that conversation is very healthy because every situation is unique. And so they get to have this, you know, just really explore with the immigration lawyer all the options and she will recommend depending on what it is that they want to do.
Yeah.
Not a lot of people say that they want to open up a business, but this is something that I always tell the lawyer. I say, hey, recommend it to them. Make sure that this is part of the conversation, because a lot of expats then decide to open a business.
Yeah.
So eventually, so it's like, hey, think about, make sure that you guys have this conversation. Make sure you include it in.
Yeah. And there's ways that you can still not have residency here. You can still have a business and work in it as a shareholder and pay yourself, etc. It's just life becomes easier when you're resident here. But Anna, a lot of people, always often ask about, hey, I want to bring my vehicle down or bring my animals here. I mean, how is that easy to do? I mean, there's nothing easy, but like, is it possible?
I think bringing your animal is quite easy.
Yep.
You might have to do a little, research on the airline, the right airline that is, where you need to fly to so that you can catch the airline that will come in and allow you to bring your dog in the cabin. But it is possible. Most expats do it. So there are a couple of options of private flights for your pets. And if you can afford it, that's a great option. But most people just rearrange their flights so that they can go to a city in the US where they can fly from that city. There is a direct flight to Costa Rica with that dog in the cabin.
What about vehicles? If people want to bring their vehicles in, can they?
Well, it very much depends on the vehicle. I just spoke to a couple of clients this week wondering about it and wanting to actually drive the car down. So I said, well, first, so here I always get them in touch with Pablo Arias, which is our very good friend. He's a relocation expert and he deals with shipping. And so I always say, have a conversation with him again, because there's many different levels of information and decision, elements that will help you make the right decision. I think that bringing in a car can be a hassle, Rich. Paperwork can be a hassle. It can be a little bit expensive. So it depends. It depends very much. Somebody said the other day that they want to bring in their Tesla. I'm like, okay, let me put you in touch with Paulo, because it might be crazy or it might be a good idea. So depending on
there's cost, import tax, time, you've got to get it then to DECLA and run around and get a bunch of paperwork, and people can do that for you. It's just, it takes time.
It takes time. Yeah, it takes time. I also think, Richard, buying a car here is a really good idea, because if you understand the reality of Costa Rican roads, I think you'll see very quickly that in Costa Rica, Japanese brands are the best.
Yep.
Toyota, Nissan, Subaru and Mitsubishi are the best options, just because it's going to be easy. First of all, they're going to maintain their value the best, but also it's going to be easier to get parts, and the mechanics are going to be, most of them can fix all the Japanese cars. So, and they're strong and they're sturdy and they will take on any mountain. So I think that's the best way to go. And, we help our clients either buy a used car or a brand new car. I have 2 clients now that want a brand new, blooming, beautiful, shiny car. I'm like, well, good for you. If you can afford it, go for it.
I mean, look, I think a lot of people that are relocating here sell an asset, or like they're looking for a slower life and like they wouldn't do it in the States. They've never done it. But like down here, they're like, look, I want to kind of enjoy life a little bit more. And if that enjoying life is buying a brand new car, go for it. I mean, 2 years ago, I bought a brand new car. The good thing about it is, where it's coming from, that like how it's been treated, etc. I mean, from an investment point of view, terrible. Like the depreciation, insane. But I mean, if we all made decisions just based on from an investment point of view, I don't know whether we get much done.
Richard, I also bought a new car, but because I wanted to have great maintenance, I wanted to not have to deal with thinking about, a used car having some issues that I can't see at the beginning. I wanted that feeling of, being confident that the car was in absolute perfect shape. Yeah. So it all depends.
Anna, how much do you think you need to live comfortably in Costa Rica?
I would say live comfortable. So it very much depends on the area, Richard.
Yep.
I've been talking to clients who have a more, let's say, a smaller budget. So they're telling me, I don't want to spend not even over $1,000 for rent. So where can I find a long-term rental? And I always say, well, okay, yeah, sure. There are communities, mountainous, San Ramon, Grecia, even Atenas, sometimes you can find something like that. If you want to go to Tamarindo, it's going to be hard to find, a place under $1,000. So
You can
the
find it, but it
coast
just
is
won't be nice.
usually, yeah. So the coast is usually more expensive, but also in San Jose, you can find, like, I live in a condo where I pay, my HOA. I mean, I own my home, but my HOA is $350. I mean, it's significant. But people who rent from owners in this condo are paying $1,500 for a 3-bedroom. It's a nice house.
Yeah.
So I think it is very doable. In San Jose, you have a lot of options. So I think between 1,200 and 1,500 is a good budget for San Jose, for the city.
Rent, right?
I think that yeah.
No, go ahead. Sorry, you were going about to say the beaches, I think.
So I think that together with the rest of the expenses, I would say between 1,800 and 2,500. I would say the sweet spot is probably 2,200.
Yeah.
I say, this will allow you to go out to eat every once in a while, go out, do your thing, maybe rent a car if you don't own a car, every once in a while, just to go and travel, around the country for a weekend here and there. So, I mean, I think that it is quite possible, but we can also help you find locations where you're going to be able to do a lower budget. We get a lot of, sorry, or higher budget.
Yeah, I mean, people sometimes, they can live in like the high-end communities here, and it's going to cost them $4,000 or $5,000, just in rent if they really wanted to. But I mean, these are very high-end communities.
Yes, and we get families. I mean, John, he had a very healthy, monthly amount for a rental, but he's here with his family.
Yeah.
So then it makes sense, right? And they're going to be here, and the kids are in school. So I think that also his situation is different. He's looking to live here for good. A lot of people just come and rent, older people. Mostly they just want to come and rent for a couple of years and see if they really like it, if they fit, if it's a match, and then either continue renting. They don't necessarily need to purchase, or just purchase something and then install themselves for sure, settle themselves down here.
Yeah. Anna, my last question for you, as I've kept you long enough. If you inherited $500,000 and you had to invest it in the business or real estate in Costa Rica, what would you invest it in and why? And you can't say, give it to me.
Well, Richard, I have to say, I continue to be very excited about Papagayo and Playa del Coco area. So I would definitely go and find, maybe buy a condo there, something a little older, but with a beautiful location, remodel it and turn it into a short-term rental. I think I'm really excited about that area. It's not, there's a lot of like 5-star resorts going up, and it sounds like it's a very rich area, but I think that what's coming for Playa del Coco, which is like a more, down-to-earth location for mere mortals that just want to live
it's more local,
a good life.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I also think that there's a lot of opportunities that are going to come up with services, and infrastructure in general needs to, really, really raise up to deal with what's happening, the development in the area. So I think it's exciting. I am kind of really obsessed also with this development called Montemar, a beautiful new development. It's just lots on a mountain overlooking the ocean, and I think the prices at this time, because it's still not completely ready to build, are very interesting, very exciting. So I'm taking a couple of clients there.
How much are those lots, Anna, and how big are they?
You can buy a lot there are prices from $80,000 to, they're usually like between 2,500 and 3,500 square meters.
Yep.
yeah, you can start at 80,000 and go all the way up to 500,000 for the really amazing views. But you know that we have a client who purchased there. She got an amazing price, Richard. In just 1 year, the price has increased quite a bit. So even if she just wanted to sell the lot now, she'll make a little bit of money. But I know she's planning on building, and so yeah. So I'll be there with clients in November who want to purchase the lot, and they're willing to wait, you know, whatever the year or year and a half that we still need to then build, you know, their dream home there.
Well, Ana, thank you very much for taking the time. It's been an absolute pleasure having you here on the podcast. I'll put all of your contact details down in the description, but you have a great day.
Thank you. Thank you, Rich. You too.
Hope you enjoyed that podcast there with Ana. Again, just, you know, a wealth of information, is dealing with probably at least a client a week, maybe 2 clients a week that are looking to move here to Costa Rica. So if you are interested of having a plan B, or just want some guidance here in Costa Rica, you know, people love Ana, and I think you will once you start you working with her. She just loves people, loves her country, and just knows it very, very well. So you can email us info@investing@costarica.com. That's info@investing, investing, Costa Rica.com. Or you could just go online and just type in, I think probably Costa Rica investments, investing in Costa Rica, and we'll be number 1 there, investing in Costa Rica. Guys, I hope you've enjoyed this podcast. If you have, please give us please subscribe. So every week when the new episode comes out, you're aware of that. Give us 5 stars, write us a review. Or if you just want to get in contact with us to cover something, or just to reach out and chat with us, you can do. It's actually me that responds, guys. So info@investing@costarica.com. That's info@investing@costarica.com. But I hope you've enjoyed the podcast. Until the next time, guys, we'll see you later. Bye.
The #1 Costa Rica real estate and investment podcast, bringing you experts from all over Costa Rica.